Hello everybody and welcome to my video, Getting Tidier. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and today we're going to look at December the 5th. So tomorrow is December the 5th, so I'm going to talk about what activity, what task, what area you need to focus on. Now in this video I'm going to be very busy in the kitchen. I'm doing some laundry and I go back to my pantry to do another sort out, another clear out. Also you'll see me doing a lot more with the Lego, and you'll see me a little bit outside actually in this video as I prepare for roast dinner. And then I end with the kitchen even more of a mess than what it was at the beginning of the video. And I just wanted to say it really is never ending. And the kitchen can go back so quickly, and the house can go back so quickly. We're in this together. So I know so many of you are very similar to me. You've got quite a lot of stuff. You're not very tidy. You cover flat surfaces. As somebody called me, I'm a flat surface coverer. And there's so much to do in life, isn't it? Things are so busy. It's so difficult to keep on top of everything. So as I record this, it's actually a Monday. And we've had a very, very rainy weekend. On one of the days, it pelted down the entire day. But we've done quite a lot in the house this weekend. So on Saturday, my daughter had a rehearsal at school for one of the kind of Christmas performances. So she was there, so that meant that we couldn't really have much of a lay-in. So she was there from about 9:30, and then we picked her up at 3-ish. And so while she was at school, me and my husband did a few different jobs. And then on Sunday, we spent the day at home. So we got quite a lot done. There's still so much to do. So obviously you're watching this and it's the start of Christmas. But as I record this, I've still got a few days where I need to get things sorted out and start getting the Christmas decorations out. It's a bit funny with the timing. What do you all think? Because I am recording these in advance, and that just means that if I'm away for a week, or like I haven't done so many videos, like in the summer when I have a bit of a break, or Christmas holidays, that my thoughts are there's always videos lined up. But I'm not sure. What do you think? So you can see in the video also that my radiators are on. So we finally gave in and put the heating on. And of course, it's been so much better. But my husband, while I was at work, he cleaned all the radiators. He dusted them all because the dust on the radiators really affects him and our daughter. And I said to him, I just don't want the heating on until we've actually dusted them properly. Because as soon as they come on, they heat the dust up and then the dust is in the air. And so he cleaned all the radiators and then put the heating on. So that's made a big difference. The lounge radiator is still on like 1, so the chances of that radiator coming on are quite slim. So we still continue to use our open fire, but not rely on one fire to heat the whole house, which of course is impossible. So in terms of, like I was saying yesterday, we did quite a lot of jobs. We had a lovely like English breakfast on Sunday morning. We didn't go to church because we felt like that was just too much to get up quite early. My daughter was so tired. So we had sort of a later breakfast, probably had it about 10:30, 11 o'clock. But then my daughter said she'd got tummy ache. So I was a bit worried for a minute that maybe she'd eaten something, but all the things that she had were absolutely fine for her. And then she sort of sat on the sofa watching a little bit of television. And then as time went on, I said, "Oh, is your tummy better?" I said, "Because if your tummy's still bad, you're not going to be able to do your show next week, are you? We'll have to cancel it." And I suddenly thought, like, is it that she's also thinking about how I've got a tummy ache, I've got loads of homework, I've got a tummy ache, I've got loads of homework, and thinking about the homework. So I said to her, like, about the work that she'd got, because she couldn't do any homework on Saturday. I'd helped her draft an email to her teacher on Friday, and she copied me in, which was to say it was her English homework that was due. She'd had so many rehearsals, literally there was no time to do homework. That must be easier for those girls that are already turned 14 assuming that they're going to bed later. My daughter is still going to bed quite early, so sometimes it does feel like we get home, she has something to eat, and then it's like bedtime. So anyway, I sat next to her and we went through the homework, and I said, it might look like, sometimes I said, if you feel like you've got a problem, such as lots of homework, you can break it down like we have. I said, and that's a little bit like the rest, in life. Sometimes you might feel like there's a big problem in life, but when you break it down, it becomes easier. So she said, so what you're saying is if you have a big problem and you break it down into lots of little problems, then you've got lots of little problems to deal with. No, not quite. It's just that if you break it down, things become easier. So for today's task or for today's idea, my idea is to be ruthless related to something you have recently decluttered. So I recently went through all these bottles. Literally just a few days ago, I went through all the bottles. I came back in my pantry now to do more. Now the reason why was because I thought I could give some of these bottles of wine to people. I thought that they'd still be absolutely okay. Now, not obviously to people like outside of my immediate family. I thought they'd be okay, like if my mum wanted some bottles or my sister wanted some bottles. Then my sister said, no, if they're out of date, I don't want them. And then my mum took one and she messaged me and said, I recommend you put all the others down the sink. So with that in mind, I thought, some of these other bottles in my pantry, why am I keeping them? Me and my husband are not going to drink them. We don't want them. So I went back. I cleaned the shelves because they'd got a bit grubby. There was also like seeds, bird seed that had spilt. So I cleared all that out. And because of the amount of extra space I've got, I've been able to put my wine containers away properly, as opposed to being balanced just above where my head is. So I still want to do more. I've still got some more bottles that I need to sort out, but my husband had started looking at the Lego, so I left that for a moment and came and had a little look at the Lego to see what else I could sort. Now my husband is the person that does a lot of the building, along with my daughter. I find the pieces. And I find that quite motivating. I'm searching for a piece and finally finding it. And because we're getting less and less pieces to sort through as the sets are being made, it makes it easier to find missing pieces. So we are getting there. It felt like such a massive task. Well, it has been such a big task, hasn't it? And then once we've done these last few sets, my husband's going to order the missing pieces. And then they'll all come at the same time because we have to pay £3.50 postage. And then we'll put the missing pieces with the right sets, and then I can get all the remaining sets. I can get them posted on eBay or Marketplace. So the reason why I was going through the box, that box has been sitting in the corner for the last however many months, was because I suddenly thought, well, what if there's any bits of Lego in the bottom here that we might have missed somehow? And you can see I've got a few things piled up to do with the fire that I need to sort out. So let me know in the comments what task you might be able to do to be ruthless, to be strict with yourself, to go back on an area that you've recently looked at and just reflect on it with open eyes, with an open mind. What else can I get rid of? There was a couple of other bottles in that section, like squash bottles. There's a bottle of whiskey. Like, my husband doesn't drink whiskey. I don't drink whiskey. There's a few little miniatures that we've kept hold of. People have brought them back from holidays. They're quite cute. But all of them are taking space up. So I've not finished this yet. As I said, I went back. I was drawn to the help with the Lego. But I'm going to do some more of that. So that's not finished. But did you see at the beginning of the video those bottles that I'd thought were going to be okay for people? My husband opened them. One I did taste. Tasted awful, but I probably always think it tastes awful. But they all got poured down the sink. And I think I probably need to let family members know that we don't drink white wine. And we don't drink, like my husband likes certain beers that he doesn't like. So it's just silly, isn't it, that people end up wasting their money on these things, really. So I'm going to go through a few of your comments now. So thank you very much for adding comments to my channel. I read every single one of the comments. I really enjoy reading about your suggestion, your ideas, your thoughts, what's going on in your own lives, where you're decluttering, etc, etc. So thank you very, very much for adding your ideas. So the first comment I'm going to read through is from Cami Hell. And Cami says, next declutter, you should do your coat closet, lol. I'm chuckling at how you had to be sideways to get back out of it and push the jackets in to shut the door. I know. Emma, I love you so much. I really feel like we could hit it off. I want to be your neighbour. Oh, that's a lovely comment. Cami, there's so many things that you say that I agree with, so I think we'd make good neighbours. Yes, you will see, since you put that comment, you will have sort of seen how I have made some improvements, but I do need to be a bit strict with some of my coats. So one has got a broken zip. I really love it, but it's got a broken zip. Keep telling yourself, Emma, it's got a broken zip, so it's got to go. One is ripped, one's got a mark, so I do probably need to go through all of those again. Cami goes on to say, how sweet of your mum to make that scrapbook for you. I kept my kids' cards too for them, but these days people don't even give cards anymore, which I'm almost glad in a way because I feel so bad throwing them out. But I don't have room to keep every card I've ever received. I agree with you. That's why I really wished people would just reuse the cards from the year before. I wish people would not get me new cards, particularly for Christmas. Just write a message in from the year before. And I'm now looking, because my husband's had his birthday, all his cards. And I just think, yeah, that's nice to sound them up, but it's all marketing, isn't it? God dear, I sound, if it was Christmas, I'd sound like Scrooge. I'm not quite sure what I sound. You know, it's lovely. He enjoyed opening them, and they're such lovely cards. But I'd like to give all the cards back to the people who sent them, and they can send the same cards next year. Oh. JJD Mimi says the scrapbook of cards would be the perfect type of thing to keep in the memory bin you started for yourself. Yes, that's a good idea. The problem is it's too big. It doesn't fit in the box. And Joanne then replied back to this and said you need a realistic sized memory bin, meaning huge. Memory items seem really important to you. Currently, they are all over your house. You can't live efficiently that way. You need easily accessible storage for the things you use every day. The most important thing you can do is keep like with like, especially with your memory items. Finding memory items all over your house in areas that should be reserved for daily living put a stress on your clutter threshold. Your clutter threshold is the amount of clutter you should not exceed in order to live an efficient life. Wow, this is Joanne sounds very knowledgeable. This is a concept I learned from Dana K. White. I know that you'll have an aha moment. It takes time to realise the next steps you need to take. I love your channel. You are doing an amazing job. Oh, a lovely comment, Joanne. Thank you very much. I do kind of understand what you're saying, but I'm sitting in the lounge at the moment, and I look around the lounge, and I've got like my little mouse that my sister gave me when I was a baby, when my mum and dad brought me home from the hospital. She gave me this little mouse that sits out. I'm not going to put that in my memory box because I like looking at that. Minnie and Mickey Mouse, which belonged to my daughter, which we got in Florida. The collection of Stuyve pandas, which is a bit excessive. I could potentially sell some of those. My little jug that I got from Amsterdam. The clock from my aunt's. The architecture Lego that my husband was bought. My little spinny thing that I made when I was 12 at school out of metal. I was quite pleased with that. For some reason, I put it in the garden for a while, so it started going rusty, but I brought that back in and cleaned it up. So I suppose, yes, I suppose what I would say is if I don't have memories connected to something, I don't really have it, I don't want it. The only things that I have out are things that are kind of memory type items. But I suppose what Joanne is also saying is like if I've got things in the kitchen which get in the way of other things. Is that how you mean, Joanne? Or am I missing the point completely? Wenda Jones says, I like the way you have real-time content in this video. Thank you, Wenda. I am going to do more of that, but I need to find my microphone. And it's now been 3 weeks that I've put it in a safe place, and I can't remember where the safe place is. I need to mention it to my husband because I know that he'd be able to find it for me. He's super at finding things. Karen Howard says, thank you for the variety of camera angles. Tina's tiny. Does that mean that you're tiny, Tina? Great job. It seems as if you're very motivated now. I hope you take time to rest and enjoy the good results. Thank you, Tina. Linda Thornton says, my son's grandmother on their father's side comes from Manchester in England. Blessings. So, my son's grandmother on their father's side. Okay, I see what you mean. So, Linda, have they visited Manchester? Has your son visited Manchester to see what family connections they've still got? I like Manchester. It's a very, very kind of modern metropolitan city. It's changed a lot over the last few years, but there's a lot that I like about Manchester. So I worked in Horwich for quite a few years, just outside of Manchester. I always think it's funny because it's spelt the same as Norwich, but just with a different letter. And I lived in the De Vere Hotel for about 6 months-ish. And beautiful sort of countryside around there, lots to see and do, but Manchester is a very vibrant metropolitan city. Nan Holmes says, hi Emma, hope you're well. When I have days of no motivation, I just make sure my bed is made and the kitchen is clean. That tricks my mind to think the house is clean, or at least clean enough. May is creeping up slowly, our trip to England. I'm requesting to visit Parliament like you suggested. Hopefully it'll work out when we're there. Oh, how exciting. You should be able to get tickets. You just need to book the tickets in advance. Lots of people in the United Kingdom don't know anything about visiting. The reason why I've been is because I wanted to get something that I knew my husband would really remember for his birthday, his 40th birthday. And I spent a lot of time sort of searching and looking online. And then I thought neither of us had ever been to the Houses of Parliament. So I booked all of that. Booked all the tickets way in advance. He didn't know anything about it. And as he likes politics, probably even more than me, he really, really found it very enjoyable. You see where our Queen sits, or now obviously the King. But it's really quite magnificent. So I hope you managed to get tickets, Nan. Sparrow Stockwell says, I like your videos just the way you do them. Oh. Deja Grenache says, hello beautiful Emma, you're doing so well with the decluttering, great job. Stacey from Virginia. Danny Riley says, I'm surprised they said she doesn't need to bring her parents. I'm 28 and I remember it being required to bring a parent or guardian till I was 16. Only times they were to be out of the room was when I got contacts at 14 and baby teeth pulled at 15. My aunt took me for both and was very squeamish, so they told her to wait outside of the room. That made me laugh. So I did reply and said, that's funny, the adult you brought with you was squeamish. I think they're being silly saying this to a child. Maybe they're trying to establish rapport. And I felt like that the doctor said that because she thought she was being clever and she was being cool in some way, just to treat a young person like they're a grown-up. But that's, I was unimpressed really. And Danny did reply saying it might be good for those who don't have support at home, so they can still be helped. My dad worked a lot, so that's why it was my aunt's. Like you stated, you can still go with your daughter until she's ready to go by herself. Absolutely. Absolutely. And she's still just 13. And I was saying to someone the other day, and I said, I went to say she's a young 13-year-old, but what I mean is, in my mind, she's exactly how a 13-year-old should be, but she's young compared to a lot of 13-year-olds that might be makeup, mini skirts and vaping. Do you see what I mean? Suzette says, your kitchen is looking really good. Thank you. Truman says, the camera angles in this video really give a better view of how your house is laid out. It's so interesting how many doors you have. American homes don't have doors between rooms. I have a few pocket doors, but generally on the main living floor, the doorways are just open. I'm going to have to check what pocket doors are. That must make it more difficult to lay out furniture because you need clearance for the door. Are the doors you always keep open? Would it make sense to try removing the doors temporarily, or do you use the doors to save on heating? That's interesting. What I would say is the doors that you see in the video, they are the doors that we did have, we couldn't keep after we had the loft conversion. We had to have fire doors. So we took our original doors from 1928 and we had exact replicas made from oak from Ireland. That was the best place, the best quality, and they were then shipped from Ireland to Norfolk. Now, we use them in many different ways. So, because of the period of the house, the doors are quite common. Some people have bought a house from the 1920s or 1900s and they have completely made the downstairs open plan. And that's lovely if that's how you like to live. But we prefer our separate rooms and I like to be able to shut doors. So to give you an example, yesterday my husband was cooking roast dinner. He was listening to the American football and my daughter was doing her English homework. And I was writing part of my book and sitting next to her and helping her when she needed it. So we needed to shut doors. We shut the kitchen door so my husband could happily listen to the podcast, and we shut our door because we wanted silence. And because the doors are fire doors, you do get silence. So that's just one example. Other examples might be something gets burnt in the kitchen. We're cooking fish in the kitchen. We can shut the door and the smell doesn't go throughout the whole house. Somebody's playing a musical instrument. Somebody else is watching the television. So it's quite a few things really. And we do sometimes, like when it was my husband's birthday and we didn't have any heating on, we shut the door to keep the room warm. So yes, we do that for the warmth side of things as well. Cynthia Miller says, hello Emma. My mother had a large baby book when I was born and was very faithful about filling it in. Oh, she also pasted in quite a few of the birthday and Christmas cards I received in my early years. I have that book in my keepsake box and enjoy looking through it. The kitchen and dining room are looking swell. Today hubby brought home breakfast and the grocery order, and then I had a mammogram appointment. When I got home, it was time to put things away in the pantry, wash the produce and load the dishwasher. God, you were busy then. Saturday, I'll be making cranberry sauce and pumpkin pie for the big meal next week. Oh wow, yes. Oh, it's your big Thanksgiving, isn't it? We're having a Thanksgiving early on Monday because of my granddaughter's work schedule. Oh wow, by the time you hear me read this out, you'll have had it and you will have enjoyed it. I hope you have a really lovely time though. It's interesting about mammograms. They call women, I think, I think you're 50 when they start calling you for a mammogram appointment. I'm going to look into when I get to that age. I'm going to look into these what are they, thermograms? I need to look into it a bit more, but because I'm not that age yet, I haven't yet investigated. But there's a lot being talked about in terms of, the checks, and it seems to be getting more and more popular. But although there's some warning to say that shouldn't be replaced for mammograms, and some say there's several false high positives, but depends on the breast tissue. So I think it's quite interesting in terms of research in that area. Cool, you're really, really busy, Cynthia. Angela says, yay, thank you so much. I'll let you know when it arrives. Hopefully it has arrived by now. Cami says, all my ancestors are from Devon in England. So Cami, do you love cream teas? You must love cream teas, because if you're from Devon, it's part of people who are from Devon, cream teas. That runs through their blood. So Cami, do you like a cream tea? And if you do like a cream tea, do you have the jam first and then the cream, or the cream first and then the jam? That is something that is regularly debated amongst various people in the country. Nan says, parents can always be privy to all children's medical information until 18 years of age. Some paediatricians won't even see the child without a parent or guardian. But once they turn 18, the child has to give permission for anyone else to see their medical information. Love from North Carolina. Angela Wag says, hype button pressed. Thank you for those of you that are pressing the hype button. I've not got any clue what the hype button does, but it looks like it's a good thing. HB6950 says, sounds like the doctors think they'll have a better chance to fob off your daughter's concerns if you are not there. The young person will not assertively advocate for themselves in fear of offending the medical professionals. You should put a complaint in about this. Yeah, I do feel tempted. Although my daughter's a child, though, I don't think anybody would. I think she'd stand up for something if she felt something was not right. I was very much the child. I had this sort of automatic respect for medical professionals. If they, I went to the doctors, I actually felt quite nervous going to the doctors. I felt like I had to speak incredibly quick because not to take up too much of the doctor's time. And then we had situations where doctors made mistakes. And so my view has changed. Yes, everyone is given respect and kindness, and I'm always polite to people, but I don't just automatically give respect because somebody is a doctor. I listen to what they say. I'm respectful towards them. Do you see what I mean in terms of the difference? I'm respectful towards them, but I've had several that have made, some really big mistakes and have got things wrong. And I'm a bit wary now. I really am a bit wary from when my daughter was a tiny, tiny little baby, and I did lots of different research on lots of different things, and my views changed. So I don't believe everything they say, and I think there's two views to everything. And certainly I think over the last 5 years-ish, there's a lot of mistakes have been made. I also think that they treat everybody the same. How can they treat everybody the same when genetically we are completely different? You can give antibiotics to one person and they can go into anaphylaxis. You give it to another person, it's absolutely fine. So I feel like they have we've many ways been treated as a number as opposed to individuals. So that is interesting. But I think you're right. It wasn't right that she said that. And do you know what was really bad? HB6940. Sorry, I can't remember your name. When I got the letter through, first of all, they say I've got to log into an app. I'm not having an app on my phone to do with the NHS, so I could not log into the app. Then they said that I had to download it with certain software. No, I didn't. So I contacted them and said, I cannot view the letter. I finally got a letter through. They CC'd a copy that they'd sent to my daughter's doctor, and it was complete and utter nonsense. I don't know who wrote the letter. That must have been the doctor, because all that was in the appointment was the doctor and a man from another department who wanted to learn more about allergies. So it wasn't even like they got a student doctor to write the letter. But it said things like my daughter's name, and then it said has been consuming egg, kiwi and sesame on a regular basis. Now that's a complete nonsense. She's allergic to sesame and she's allergic to egg, so she does not consume them on a regular basis, and she has never had kiwi in all of her life. So not only was the letter completely wrong, it is also actually quite dangerous. So I wrote back and told them that. Rebecca Corser Wallace says my daughter's front teeth have 2 little patches on them. She was on antibiotics at an hour old due to an infection. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that must have been a bit of a worry when she was only small. Yeah, it's like that mineralisation, isn't it, Rebecca? I've seen that before on people's teeth. You can get rid of that. So when my daughter's 2 back teeth at the bottom came up, I cleaned her teeth for her twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day if she came home for school at lunchtime, until she was about 9 or 10. And I can remember these teeth erupting through the gum and me like thinking, oh no, like what's wrong? You could see that as they came through the gum, they were discoloured, and as I learned, they had no enamel at all. So I went on this big search to find what can I do? What can I do? Is there a way that you can get teeth to reheal? So I bought this really good book, and I did lots of research. And a few things that I did chicken broths with organic chicken carcass, and then I used the broth in different ways, so added it to meals. I also did the homeopathy remineralisation. They're not called tablets. I can't think what they're called in homeopathy. But she had those. And then, as you know, I said to you before about how we took her to Harley Street, because I just thought the NHS, we weren't getting any answers or any information. All they want to do is drill into her teeth and take away some good tooth. So we took her to the best place that we found out about it, that kind of looked more at natural methods. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything that could be done. One of them rehealed itself. One of them, the enamel grew back. So I don't know what it was that we tried that, helps with that. But one of them, the enamel did return. But the other one, that got worse. And in the end, she had to have that work done. So she had to have the top part of it taken. And then she had to have a cover on the tooth, which I was very, very upset about at the time, because she does have such a good diet. But it's interesting Rebecca saying about that, needing antibiotics. So our daughter had antibiotics at birth when she did not need them. And what the man at Harley Street said, it could have been antibiotics at birth, but he's seeing a large number of children with teeth problems related to the vaccine schedule, which, is a sensitive topic, I know. So people have different views on that. But his view was that, the schedule has increased exponentially in the last few years. And his view was to look at, the exact what we're giving children and how many we're giving, and are we giving too many. I think in the United Kingdom, something like 50 or 60 that are now on the schedule before the age of 18. Because that includes the flu vaccine every year. And so when you add up the total, It's quite a high number. Would you think when I was up until the age of me being 18, from 0 to 18, there was about 6 required. So it has changed quite a significant amount. So you can see that I'm sorting out the Lego. So this was after we spent a lot of time last night doing some Lego work. I was hunting for pieces and my husband was building. So you can see the pile is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, but I don't like it left all over the floor. So we'll probably do some more work on that tonight and get to a point where we've got, in the next few days, that we've got a list of all the missing pieces. That's what my aim is. And then I decided to kind of sort out the corner as well. So the little table was starting to look a bit cluttered, looks like it needed dusting. So I decided to sort that out and tidy the lounge up generally. But despite the fact that we've got a lot extra things in the room because we've got the open fire and it's been birthday time with presents and we've all got the Lego, I do feel that the lounge is still significantly better than what it used to be. Also, I've been thinking, people are asking me what I would like for Christmas and different ideas what I would like for Christmas. And I haven't really got many ideas, but then I thought I'd actually quite like some new cushions. The cushions that I've got, like see the green velvet one, I really like them, but they are really quite old and some of them now have gone a bit misshapen. And I thought it'd be quite nice to get some new cushions, maybe get a couple of Christmas ones that I could then also put away each year in the storage space that I don't have. Oh dear. So I am very close to the end of my video now. So thank you so much for your support and your kindness and your encouragement. You really do keep me going. You're the ones that keep me motivated. So thank you very, very much, and I'll see you in the next video.